Long ago, the Israelites were facing a great challenge. They were at war with the Philistines, and their armies were camped on opposite hills with a wide valley between them. Each day, a Philistine warrior named Goliath would march into the valley and shout his challenge. "Why do you come out to fight? I am the champion of the Philistines. Choose one man to fight me. If he defeats me, we will become your servants. But if I win, you will serve us." Goliath wasn't just any soldier. He was a giant, over 9 feet tall, with gleaming bronze armor that covered him from head to toe. His spear was as thick as a weaver's beam, and the tip alone weighed as much as a heavy hammer. The Israelites were terrified. Who could possibly defeat such a mighty warrior? For 40 days, Goliath repeated his challenge. Each time, the Israelites trembled with fear and refused to fight. Among the soldiers was King Saul, the leader of the Israelites, who didn't know what to do. Far away, a young shepherd boy named David was tending his family's sheep. David wasn't a soldier. He was the youngest of 8 brothers. One day, David's father sent him to the battlefield to bring food to his brothers and see how they were doing. When David arrived, he heard Goliath's booming voice. "Who is this giant who defies the armies of the living God?" David asked. The soldiers told him about Goliath's challenge, and David saw how afraid everyone was. David said boldly, "I will fight him. The Lord who saved me from lions and bears while I protected my sheep will save me from this giant." When word of David's courage reached King Saul, he called for the boy. Saul looked at David and said, "You are just a boy, and Goliath has been a warrior his whole life. How can you fight him?" David replied with confidence, "I have faced danger before. When a lion or bear came to take a sheep from my flock, I chased it down and rescued the sheep. I even struck the wild animals when they attacked me. The same God who saved me from them will save me from Goliath." Saul finally agreed and offered David his own armor. But when David tried it on, it was too big and heavy. He could barely move. So David took off the armor and said, "I don't need this. I will face Goliath with what I know." David picked up his sling and went to a nearby stream. He chose 5 smooth stones and placed them in his bag. Then, with his sling in hand, he walked into the valley to meet Goliath. When Goliath saw David, he laughed loudly. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" he roared. "Come here, and I will feed your flesh to the birds." But David wasn't afraid. He shouted back, "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel. Today, the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and everyone will know that there is a God in Israel." As Goliath charged toward him, David reached into his bag, took out a stone, and placed it in his sling. He swung it around and around, then let the stone fly. The stone flew straight and true, striking Goliath in the forehead. The giant stumbled and fell with a mighty crash. The Philistine army couldn't believe their eyes. Their great champion was dead. The Israelites cheered and charged after the Philistines, driving them away. David became a hero that day, not because he was the strongest or the tallest, but because he trusted in God. His courage and faith remind us that with God, no challenge is too great, and even the smallest among us can do mighty things